Hello, everyone. It is great to be here one more time today. And my name is Gary Fowler. I'm a serial entrepreneur and investor. I've been involved in 17 startups and 2 unicorns. I was on the original management team at Click Software, which was sold to Salesforce for $1.35 billion, and also Eva.ai, an AI HR tech company. We believe that intellectual capacity is evenly spread around the world, and opportunities are not. I am the CEO, president, and co-founder of GSD Get Shit Done Venture Studios, a premier AI and quantum venture studio located in the heart of Silicon Valley. And today, I would like to meet my amazing guest. Jasper Schlump is an entrepreneur, a serial entrepreneur. He's got an amazing background, even from studying in London, African studies, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. He loves startups. He loves having an impact in the startup network. He is the head of investor relations for Capicura. He's located in Germany and Lomar. And with that, I'd like to bring Jasper on board. Jasper, how you doing?
Or as
they say in New York, how you doing?
How you doing?
Yeah,
I'm doing very, very well. Despite these crazy times we live in. But as my first sharing my emotions, I'm more than ever determined to be sure to spread the kind of value system I was brought up with, and be a bit more radical than I used to be in the past. So I'm very glad to be here today.
What does that mean? A bit more radical with the value system? What is that? What do you mean?
I realized that in a world, in a highly privileged world, I was blessed to grow up. First of all, I feel very, very humbled. I think that's a feeling that strikes me every day. But at the same time, I realize there are quite a few people out there who don't necessarily share the same value system as we do. You know, freedom of press, freedom of speech, and these kind of liberal values I was brought up with. I'm definitely more determined than ever to kind of protect and to spread in my sphere of influence.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I was just talking to one of my friends about it yesterday. You know, it's my grandmother came from North Africa, from Egypt, and immigrated to the U.S. My grandfather came from Greece and immigrated. My father's parents were German and English. And when they came over here, they had a dream. And the dream was, you know, they wanted to have a free life and to be able to do things and to help their families. And so, you know, for all those people out there that are in these depressed situations, our heart, our love goes out to each and every one of you. And for all those startups with incredible capabilities, you know, wherever they're located, Ukraine, all over. And I feel bad for some of the startups in Belarus and Russia too, because they don't have a channel to get out. So our hearts, our prayers are with you. And with that, I want to talk about you, Jasper. Some of the stuff is like, how in the heck, what the heck? You went to get a Master of Science in Developmental Studies at the University of London. Why did you get into Oriental? How did you do that? Would you say, I want to go to Africa, Oriental and African studies? What was that for?
Let me take you back to my 14-year-old self. I was brought up, as I said before, in a very privileged situation. But I think you need a few specific happenings in your life to realize that. And for me, it was when I was 14. My dad wanted to make sure that I'm not taking this bubble for granted, and he gave me the book of Jean Ziegler, the Empire of Shame, where essentially one of my most favorite critics and thought leaders from the left spectrum essentially said, already 20 years ago, we are 7 billion people. We could, with the technology, feed 12 billion, and still 1 billion are going to bed hungry.
Yeah.
And I went out as a 14-year-old naive boy out of my house in Munich, Germany, and I couldn't find the 1 billion. So that kind of triggered a big thought process. And 6 years later, I started my master's in London, trying to deal and to understand the complexities exactly around the topics of food and energy security, more important than ever, I would say.
I mean, I think so, right? You talk about energy security now. especially in Europe. I mean, there are challenges all over the place, and yet at the same time, I mean, Jasper, we've got to change. I just spoke to the United Nations a few months ago about technology as a tool for peace. My concern, I don't know about you, but some of the concerns that I have is that we're going to have a population increase for 8.1 billion to 13 by the end of the century. At the same time, we've got a lot more people. By 2050, you have to double the food supply to feed everybody. Exactly. We're not going to be able to feed them, right? So what do we do in that situation? It's incredible. And the average temperatures around the planet could go up 7 degrees Fahrenheit by the end of the century. Places like Mumbai and Bangladesh could be underwater. So we have a lot that we need to do, a lot that we need to fix. And, but at the same time, we have a lot of incredible technologies to be able to help us.
100% agreed. And you know what, Gary, what got me thinking over the last few days, I really hope, the situation in Ukraine is horrible, but especially from a European perspective. You just mentioned energy security. I think one of my most biggest ambitions coming back to Germany after having lived abroad for 11 years in 2018 was really to get my country and get the European thinking out of the oversaturated lethargy we've been suffering for the last 30 years. We took everything for granted, and that's exactly what I meant before. That we need to wake up. We need to take this as a serious chance, this challenge. And I mean, only a week ago, Germany had the first green unicorn with Enpal in terms of solar energy. That's exactly the way we kind of need to follow through. And I really hope everyone was talking about a new financial crisis on the horizon. We saw the incredible spendings in venture capital. Now we have war. I think that's kind of shaking everything a bit harder. But I really think, and that's the optimist in me, that's at the end of the tunnel, there's no other way to only focus on the things that are really relevant for us and the planet in the future.
Yeah, no, I hear some of the wealthiest people in the world talk about, in fact, one of them, we have a company from Austria. It's in the metaverse. They talk about compassion and kindness and empathy. And I mean, really seriously, I don't know where we are as humans, but we've lost something. We've lost kind of sight of, the simple things in life, right? Care and, putting your hand out and giving somebody a piece of bread when they're hungry. Because you've got a loaf of bread. You don't need to keep that loaf of bread for yourself. It's fine. And I'm not saying in a socialist kind of way. I'm just saying out of your heart and your soul, right? To be able to give that piece of bread. I mean, the people right now today, my wife's family's down in Ukraine. And I tried to get hold of some of the friends there today, and they were under attack and they disappeared. I can't get a hold of them. And it's really concerning. Because you got people that were a month ago, Jasper, they were technology folks. You know what I mean? We're doing business together, and now they disappeared and they're scared to death. It's crazy, right?
It is.
I don't know what's happened with humanity. It's unbelievable. Haven't we learned lessons from the World War II, and other wars? It's crazy.
No, I agree.
And these poor people need help, and my friends in Russia, a lot of them can't talk and they feel the same way. They send me messages. They said, we can't say anything because we don't get in trouble. But, they're incredible people, incredibly kind people, good people. Yes. It's amazing, You're right. We got, 30 years, we've been sitting on our hands, not doing things.
Yeah.
And we take things for granted, but it can be taken away just to look what's happened, right?
And one situation over the last year that gave me goosebumps was actually that when I went to the Web Summit with one of our startups, Be Sharing, there was the opening speech. It was the first time again, a conference, 10,000 people in a hall. Portugal was really good in managing the COVID, and they did kind of kind of checking where people would come from. So they said who is from the US. and who is from Brazil. And by far, we talk about the biggest, most prolific tech conference in the world. By far, the loudest and the most populous were actually the people from Ukraine.
And think about it now. It's unbelievable. A lot of those people are scattered. They're fighting. I talked to some last week. Actually, Jasper, 3 weeks ago, I talked to this group, and I forget it wasn't in Kiev. It was another city in the West. But I talked to him. He said, it's not going to affect us. We're out in the mountains. He called me a week ago and he said, can you try to send some money? We need some help. We don't have food. We don't have gear. We don't have all kinds of things. We just need help. It was unbelievable because we were going to do an event together. It's incredible how things have changed. So I hope we open up our hearts and souls, and in the West we take things seriously because we have this existential threats that are out there. We can't capitulate to these existential threats. We got to step up and bring goodness and kindness to bear and try to help and not put up with it. You can't deal with bullies. You can't back down from bullies, right? You got to stand up to them. And
100% agreed.
If you don't stand up, nothing good's going to happen.
100% agreed.
So anyhow, I love the conversation. I could go on the rest of the day. I'm fired up about it, but let's talk about what, I want to talk about. So you did the Bavarian representation to the EU as an intern. Why did you do that? And what was it like?
It was actually, and we stopped there at my 14-year-old self. When I went, I slowly understood that there are a lot more realities out there than my little Munich cousin. So I decided very quickly that I want to understand and get to know other realities. And my first step was actually to take a gap year between high school and my university studies in the Netherlands. And I went for 4 months. I went to Ghana, worked as a volunteer.
How was that?
In an orphanage. That kind of, it helped me to lose my naive idealism, but it motivated me to better understand the complexities around geopolitics. And the funny thing was, for me, it was actually quite a brain fuck, to be honest. I came back, I had 1 weekend, and then I started my internship at the European Union. And over that weekend, I went out with friends, didn't do anything spectacular, but I spent more money on that weekend. I have spent 4 months in Ghana. So these little things, realizing, kind of putting this all into perspective. And then I was thrown into, the heart of the European Union. And I was amazed by the hunger, the curiosity, and the willingness of so many people to really change on a multilateral level. And unfortunately, the EU is very bad in communicating its successes and what incredible things they have already achieved over the last 50 years. And that was captured, as you could see with Brexit. But the European Union, that we live in peace, that we have this prosperous economies, that we have countries where you can freely travel to, where you understand each other, is taken again for granted. But it shouldn't. It's an incredible achievement.
Eye-opening going to Ghana to the orphanage. Did you ever think to yourself, I don't know, I've been in those situations myself, but did you ever think to yourself when you saw those kids and they just had basic food and they wanted love and attention, did you ever think to yourself like how much money we waste? And we waste on junk, garbage, and that could be that money could be used to save a kid's life for a couple of months.
Well, what struck me the most, I mean, you put it, you put it quite frankly, was essentially that the people, the energy I got from the people, they were happier than every person I would have met back home, and that
Really?
kind of obviously got me thinking, why is that, and what are actually the reasons for it? And that took me on a journey. Obviously, went to a few other countries. Until I kind of realized a few years, I think there's something happening in Germany. I can't really describe it, but feel it. We have obviously right-wing tendencies again. We messed up quite a few times in the last century. And I felt, a certain duty and responsibility to kind of come back and don't let things just happen.
Yeah, but it must have been unbelievable coming back from Ghana and then going out with your friends, and you thought about that money, and then you come back, and I don't know about you, but what I did in those situations, when I would spend like $1 or $5 or $10, I would think about what it was hard for me to do it, to be honest with you, because I thought about what I could do with that money
Exactly.
and what I had seen and what that could contribute. It's just incredible.
People need reminder, and I think that's what you also said before. People need, and that's what unfortunately our psychological downfalls. They need reminder. They need testimonials. And what is happening right now is that Europe hasn't experienced war for 50 years. We have the last people who have really experienced war, unfortunately, be not among with us in the next 5 to 10 years. We don't have any first real experience sharer as grandparents, as uncle, aunties. And that makes it, I think, a bit difficult because people tend to forget, and people have a hard time to actually realize how blessed and lucky they've been.
And it's crazy how fast things start. It's like unbelievable. It's like COVID, right? How fast? Look what's happened in a month. It's crazy. Everything in the world was kind of okay, right?
Yeah.
But now you got it changes so quickly. It can happen overnight, and our lives could change, just like COVID. I don't know about you and how it was for you in Germany, but it happened like overnight here. And water, toilet paper, everything disappeared. And like simple things, people were fighting for rolls of toilet. It was crazy.
Yeah, we have one amazing impact startup called Aumio. They experience an incredible boost as they have a little meditation app for young children to better fall asleep, to engage them, and to responsibly use technology. And what have we seen over the last 2.5 years? The rates of depression, especially loneliness among young people, have just skyrocketed. And I think these are exactly the new challenges. You mentioned it before. People kind of becoming detached of their inner self are the ones we really need to tackle to ensure a better a society that lives peaceful together and respectful together. I think that's, for me, a big word these days, which people have. Some people have lost the feeling for
peaceful,
themselves.
Respectful. That's what it is, and and compassion and empathy. We've kind of lost it. Maybe somebody said to me, well, "Why is it?" I said, "I don't know. Our video games and things that we play, maybe we've got like into this kind of different mentality. We think it's normal. It's like not normal.
Yeah,
this stuff is not normal, and it's not right or fair. And when it's all said and done, if you believe in a higher power, nothing good's going to happen to you when you get to the pearly gates, right? Nothing good, or whatever in your religion you have, nothing good's going to happen. So, it's interesting. So tell me a little bit about it. As you're going down through your journey, you did Farm Africa. What was that about?
Oh, I was so I was super motivated back then, having done my master's studies in London. At SOAS, which is just a very special place, the place that kind of educated all secret services around the world to get better equipped and better knowledge about the African and Asian countries. There's still this kind of sentiment of intellectual leftist. Absolutely loved it. And my big dream were, you mentioned the United Nations, you spoke to them, to get into the big international organizations, to understand how they work, to really try to bring the complexities around the world together and find solutions together with the people on the ground. But I was quite disillusioned after some time to kind of looking behind the scenes. It is very difficult, very slow. There are a lot of own interests. And for me, it was kind of realization. I need to make the shift first to the NGO world to understand what people try to do without necessarily making a profit, and take that knowledge and bring it in to where I am today into impact investment and get that seen and push it a step further.
No, you're right about it. I mean, the thing is, you do learn when you're working for an NGO where people care and they're doing things sometimes, they're selfless. They go out and try to do it and make a dent in the universe and help and feed people. I've gone to orphanages, et cetera, and, just go out and try to open your hearts and wallets to help. So it brings another level. So you did that journey, and as you move forward, you went down through Action for Children. So it seems like you kept in that social space for a while. What made you decide to do that?
Essentially, you're absolutely right. I realized my superpower is I'm very curious. I love to engage with people and bring people together. And in Farm Africa, I did the basic first job entry. My goal was obviously always to kind of get into the programmatic work, but more and more I realized they can't do the programmatic work if we are not good in fundraising. So I looked into high net worth individual fundraising. I did community fundraising and corporate fundraising, which I actually thought was the most innovative. And that's why I founded a wonderful organization, Football Beyond Borders, where we put football essentially the lack of
what
knowledge.
Is it called again, Jasper? Football
Beyond Borders.
Okay, cool.
And we essentially used football as a vehicle and a catalyst to keep kids who are at the edge to get kicked out of school back on track. And Action for Children was just for me a logical next move. It was the biggest children's organization in the UK. They looked after 500,000 children every year, from 1 year olds up to homeless teenagers. And I was responsible for the big corporate partnerships. We worked with Dell EMC, and it was all about employee engagement, thinking about nice ways to fundraise and get the big corporates involved.
No, that's fantastic. So, okay, so you're moving forward. Rock Your Company, what's that all about?
Yes, I kind of got back into education. That's what next to sports, specifically football, or in Europe, soccer. That's what always fascinated me the most. And Rock Your Company was, in a nutshell, we essentially wanted to go into companies and help companies to maintain and onboard young professionals better, and kind of a generational and departmental transfer of knowledge. We did that with mentoring, with sessions about appreciation, feedback, etc. So it was an HR impact startup to really see how a corporate culture can improve and help companies who have, on the one hand, problems to find the right people, to actually hold them at their companies and keep them happy.
And what did you do to hold them at the companies? What makes them happy?
It is, for us, it was incredible to see. We had really amazing coaches. We did a lot of supervisions, a lot of really trainings in terms of communication, about growth mindset. And it's the simplest solution often is let the people talk and give them a platform where they can actually finally speak up and tell other people in a secure space what they don't like. And that's what many companies underestimate, to create that space where people kind of feel appreciated and feel listening to.
Well, and they don't want to have fear either that there's going to be repercussions for saying the negative stuff, because the one thing I've heard in the past is that people would speak up. They say, you're not a team player, you're not buying off on the team, those kind of things. So actually, with all the bullshit goodness, they would come up with that, and they would start putting them on performance plans and everything else. Well, I can see you're not really part of it. You don't like it. You're not enthusiastic. In reality, they just wanted to make a change and try to help. It's interesting how that balances, right?
Yeah, I agree.
So let's go to Capricorn. Tell us a little bit about, you talk about innovation as early stage investors with seed experience and access. Tell us a little bit about it and where you are today with it.
It's actually quite funny how I met my my business partner and our founder, Dr. Ingo Dahm, one of the AI specialists in Germany. As when I came back to take up my role as the CEO of Rock Your Company, our investor, which we thought would have been secured, jumped off and decided to withdraw and not to invest in Rock Your Company.
Wow.
And that's where my odyssey, this incredible tough journey in Germany to raise pre-seed seed money started for me. I think throughout that year, I talked to over 50 investors, and it was always, I thought the scene was hard to access. The energy I got from the investors, I didn't feel welcomed and I didn't feel appreciated.
Why is
Talking
that?
about appreciation again.
Why do you feel appreciated and welcome?
I think there was, self-critically speaking, a lack of knowledge coming from an NGO fundraising perspective, what a for-profit investor would like to see and what he's really interested in. There was a lack of knowledge on my part, but I think there's still, in general, a lack of knowledge of how impact investments could work. So the debate around always sustainability, impact versus financial return, I think that's obviously a big one we can jump on. I realized that most business angels in Germany, or the so-called 3Fs, friends, families, and fools, in Germany, it tends to be between 20, 30K, and the funds would only come in starting from 500K. So it was exactly in this valley of death. So it was hard to get, I didn't want to get more than 2 or 3 investors on board, but they were either too small or too big.
Yeah.
And the final thing was that I realized it felt sometimes that I was more, essentially fun to be with me, do lunches, and looking at my business. A few investors I met for lunch 6-7 times, and for an investment of 25K, it wasn't worth it. Talking about the opportunity cost.
25K?
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
That's unbelievable. And that's what I realized until I met Ingo at a pitch night, where I kind of said, I don't want to have any investor on board. I think we really need to step up our game and just do real business. And Ingo, I had such a good conversation, similar to the one we had when we first met. It was inspiring. It was very much on eye level, and it was good fun. And a lot of thoughts he had, I really shared. And back then he said, Jasper, we need to change something about the VC narrative that kind of was adapted from Silicon Valley to Germany. It's not all about the unicorns. We need to make sure that we have good growth and we have especially business models that do good for society and the planet. They don't need to be skyrocketing. They need to be good businesses. And we need to be the investors to enable smaller investors, and obviously go in with our own money and democratize and digitize that space in this specific valley of death.
No, that's fantastic. A lot of the German, Austrian, Swiss investors are kind of conservative, right? I hear that a lot from folks, but I also hear on the other side that some of them are starting to loosen up and they're being more aggressive because they want to participate. Okay, we're coming up to the top of the show, and I want to end with your final thoughts and also how do people get a hold of you?
My final thoughts. We are at Kapakura at such a fantastic, super exciting time. We have 17 investments now. We have 10 million assets under management. And essentially, if I can get one message across, it is that everyone starting with 1,000 euros can invest in impact startups today. You can build your own portfolio. You can spread the risk. And with 1,000 euros, we enable impact investments.
So the minimum investment is 1,000 euros.
Exactly. That's
Okay.
absolutely
You
correct.
can do 1,000 euros, and you're set up to be able to take that. So, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you if they want to participate? What can you do?
Obviously, they can always get in touch with me via LinkedIn. You can see my name. It's exactly, I think there's only one in this world called Jasper Schlump. Obviously, via email, it's jasper.schlump@kapakura.de.
Mhm.
And that's the easiest way to get in touch with me. Yeah, I really think it needs more people like yourself, Gary. We need to spread the love and the positive messages. And I think impact investment, investing in the future of our children, of our grandchildren, protecting our planet, that's exactly what the new normal in business should be.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. So, thanks for coming to my show today. I really appreciate you taking Jasper's time out of your busy schedule. It's really great to have you. And to
And one thing I want to add, Gary, because I had a fantastic finding while doing a bit of preparation on your show. GSD is just in different letters, kind of SDGs, and these are the most important letters. It's get shit done, and it's the Sustainable Development Goals.
yeah, no,
So
that
keep that in mind.
yeah, GSD, SDG. That's right. And let's go out there, everybody. Let's spread a little bit of love around the world. A lot of people are hurting today. They don't have homes. They're trying to take care of their kids. They're trying to figure out where they're going to live when they're in fear. Let's go out and bring some love and compassion and empathy around the world. And each and every one of us could do our part. Don't hold back. Go out, do your part, and bring some of that love and compassion. Jasper, last week and the week before, I've been booking Airbnb rooms all over the Ukraine,
Yes.
and to help the poor people there. And they're pinned where they've gotten bombed. And I had a nice letter back from one of the girls that I did that to. She said, I don't have a place, but she said, I really appreciate what you've done. I booked it out, and it was booked through June. I booked it out, and I said, all you need to do is take care of yourself and your life, and just know that there are people out there just like all of us around the world, many of us around the world, that care and are bringing their love and compassion to be able to help you out. So we're out there for you. We love you. Take care of yourselves. To my audience out there, my name is Gary Fowler, and I'm the CEO, president, and co-founder of GSD Get Shit Done Venture Studios, a premier AI and quantum venture studio located in Silicon Valley. And I'll be back with another edition of GSD Presents Silicon Valley in AI and Tech on Thursday. Stay happy, stay safe, and stay healthy. I'll be back soon. Take care, Jasper. Take care, audience. Love you. Bye-bye.
Bye, Gary.